Hello and good afternoon, everyone. This is Les from Absolute Vorticity with your model discussion video forecast. Today is September 17th, 2016. All right, let's get to your top weather stories this afternoon. Warm weather conditions will be continuing next week. After today's weather system is done, we are then going to be seeing a warm weather pattern continue with the southeast ridge rebuilding, just like we've seen all summer long. We're going to give you a tropical update from the National Hurricane Center. The tropics have been busy lately. Could we get a cooler start anyway to the month of October versus the above normal temperatures in the 80s that we've been seeing? 88 yesterday at CVG. And a preliminary update for what things are looking like early on from some model perspectives and a few numbers out there for you in regards to the winter. So we have some early thoughts for you there. All right, let's take a look here at the GFS model. And this is valid at 84 hours for Tuesday morning. And you can definitely see the ridge over the southern half of the country here. 588 decameters is this black line. And you can definitely see that we have a lot of ridging going on with the westerlies and the jet stream, if you will, well to the north along the Canadian border. This is what we should see in the summer, not the second half of September, but that's what's going on. And this is from the overnight model run. And here comes the next trough digging into the western United States, as you can see here. And there's the ridging over the eastern half of the nation, still there. This is by next Friday evening is this model image, day 7. And here is day 10, next Monday, the 27th. Day 10. You can still see ridging going on over the east. Finally, some ridging building over the west here. Maybe the PNA getting more towards neutral, perhaps. Maybe weakly positive. The ridge is not quite far enough north, though. Looks like a cutoff low trying to form over the Texas Panhandle. But bottom line is the ridging is still over the eastern United States. So the warmth definitely looks to continue through a good chunk of September, the rest of the month, folks. Here's the European for Monday and next week. Definitely see the above average heights. Again, like the GFS showed. The European by day 7, same thing that the GFS showed. There's the trough coming into the west. The big ridge over the east, it's even warmer. 591 decameter heights for the Ohio Valley. Could we touch 90 again? The European probably says by Friday we might. This Friday and next week, folks. Finally, though, it looks a little cooler when we get towards the 27th versus the GFS, where we get more ridging into the west versus it being offshore like the GFS. The ridging's much closer to California now, and stronger as well. And we're starting to see a little bit of ridging over the Gulf of Alaska. And all models are really showing ridging starting to show up in northern Canada. Not really an NAO block, if you will, because of the upper low over southern Greenland here. It's still a neutral to weakly positive NAO. But we are starting to see a few subtle changes. Here's your tropical update. We have Tropical Depression Julia, which has been causing a lot of rain along the southeast coast the last few days. She just continues to sit and spin as a depression. This is as of 11 a.m. This morning. We have Carl with winds of 45 miles an hour out in the central Atlantic, a tropical storm. And then we have another disturbance that is likely to become our next named system in the next few days. So the African wave train continues. It is Cape Verde season after all. Here's the National Hurricane Center's track on Julia for the next 5 days. She's just going to sit and spin out there, really not doing much of anything. Not so pretty beach weather along the coast here for anybody trying to get some late beach plans in, but That's just, we have to wait till we get a strong enough trough to kick it out of here. But you saw on the other model images, there's nothing but a ridge here. So there's nothing, she's just going to sit there. Here's Carl, pretty much staying north of the islands over the next week. And the question is this going to be a fish storm, or can it sneak under the ridge and get closer to the United States? We have some model information here in just a sec. And here it is right now. The GFS ensemble is here on the left, the Canadian on the right, and you can see both of these models have Carl pretty much as a fish storm. Could come close to Bermuda if some of the western tracks are correct here on the GFS ensemble, but otherwise this should not be a threat to the United States the way it looks right now. Great chance that this system in the next several days becomes a hurricane, probably next week. Could even become a major hurricane or close to it on a couple models here, but most everybody keeps it 75 to 90 miles an hour for the intensity, Cat 1 or 2. So we'll keep an eye on it for you. And then here's our disturbance, 40% chance of development in the next 48 hours. I believe they have it a 70% chance the next 3 to 5 days. That's our next African disturbance coming off the coast here. All right, so I mentioned at the beginning here maybe a cooler or cold start to October. Well, you can see the GFS ensemble at day 10 shows a bit of a ridge trying to develop here. It's still not a positive P&A in my opinion. It has the blocking isn't all the way here. It's a little bit here, and then you got a negative EPO trying to develop, maybe a negative Arctic oscillation trying to develop. We still do not have a true negative NAO with that upper low there. So it's still not a locked cold pattern, but a shot of cooler air certainly possible. By day 10, here's the Canadian ensemble, pretty much the same idea as the GFS. And the European ensemble at day 10, they're all pretty much agreement. It actually has a stronger Pacific jet, the European ensemble, coming in across the top of the ridge down here to the south. So this could imply a more stormier pattern as we hit the end of the month, the European ensemble. And speaking of the tellies, here's the P&A. Mixed results from the GFS ensemble. Some sharply positive, others closer to neutral, if not weakly negative. Here's the Arctic oscillation. It dips negative briefly. Then there's mixed results in regards to positive or negative. And the NAO is forecast to go negative as we get closer to October. There's some really good agreement in the GFS ensembles there. And the CFS V2 long-range climate model from the United States CPC folks shows the warm conditions continuing, as we already talked about, next week. Last week of September, we begin to see some changes, and a really nice shot of chilly air at the first week of October. Maybe some lows in the 40s, highs in the 60s at this point. That would be great if this is correct. Major blocking over Alaska with the negative EPO. Really developing nicely. More of a P&A, positive P&A look here over the west. And then it wants to warm us back up come week 2, but we'll see what happens there. That's quite a ways out. And here's the look for the whole month of October from the CFS V2. Pretty much average to slightly above average for most of us. Not too terribly warm, but not a cold look at all. Your only really cool look is probably due to clouds and rainfall over Texas for the most part. And here's an update now on how we're looking for the winter. Right now, just early indications. SST anomalies for the different ENSO regions. You can see a cool ENSO neutral pattern developing here. And the other image down here is an animated GIF showing the SST anomalies in the equatorial Pacific, longitude and latitudes down here, and your depth in meters is over here. And you can see not a strong La Nina look at all. It's definitely got a cool INSO neutral look written all over it. So this La Nina is not going to get out of hand. Here's the global SST anomalies as of the 15th. You can see the INSO neutral pattern here, surrounded by a sea of warmth. There is an El Nino hangover here. Positive PDO with the warmth in the North Pacific. That's looking really nice there for that not to weaken at all, in my opinion. Some nice warmth around Greenland with some cold water here in the North Atlantic. Not too much to talk about there. A lot of warmth off the East Coast, as you can see, and that could fuel some nice storm systems this fall and early winter, depending on how much tropical activity we see. And here's the European forecast for the La Nina, INSO neutral, without a doubt. Here's the UK Met, the British model, INSO neutral, without a doubt. PDO, you can see here from the University of Washington how it's weakened some, but I'm still waiting to see the August number to see if it's going back up or not. I don't see it dropping much at all. The QBO data has come out. As of April, it started to rise again, and it's currently plus 10 for August. Finally, here's some long-range climate models. Here's the UK seasonal model for the winter. Major negative EPO pattern with the blocking around Alaska. Warm west, trough in the east. A really nice negative NAO as well, and a negative Arctic oscillation. Pretty cold look. And this is from the Aussies. Also a nice look with the North Pacific high over the Gulf of Alaska because of the warm SSTs that we saw on that other map there. So that's going to promote troughiness in the central and eastern part of the country with the ridge off the east coast. This could be interesting for storm tracks in regards to the Ohio Valley. And finally, the Japanese model here, it's showing a blowtorch for the winter. Pretty much for most everybody, unless you're in Siberia. That's about the only cold spot. So there's a different look for you. Torch for all. That is not a cool INSO neutral look, or even a weak La Nina look. That's not going to happen. And here's the CFS V2 model just for kicks, showing snowfall for the next 45 days. It's trying to give us a little bit of love in October at some point. So yeah, who knows? Just for fun, this really doesn't mean much. This runs for 45 days from now through Halloween. So maybe a little snow in October if the CFS is correct. Who knows? All right, I appreciate everybody watching my model discussion video forecast. Have yourself a fantastic weekend.